Good morning. Good morning. Hello. How we doing? Hair's a bit all over the place today. Can't get it right with the headphones. Right. Galactic Bays, how are you doing? Good to see you on here again. So, it's a feedback session. It was going to be a guitar lesson, but I thought, why not do another feedback session? People seem very, very keen. That's if the guy turns up, which I'm sure he will do. Whose track this is? It's some guy, I believe. So hopefully he'll be here. Do say hello in the chat if you are. And we'll just, hang on. Oh, he's here. Yes. We're in business. Excellent. I was slightly worried there because the whole thing's knackered if you're not here. I'm here. Relief. Doing all right. I'm great, thank you. Had trouble figuring out Discord. What is going on, Enzo? Wanted to send something that needed a lot of... Brilliant. Excellent. Because that's what we want. Because you want the feedback. You see, I don't... right, where are the times and content schedules? I don't really... you see, that's a good point. So, because I post everything up on Ecamm, and I might have just missed this, right? But as far as I can see, I can't really post a schedule. I just do a stream and then post the next one. There doesn't seem to any way to go to multiply post different lives. I mean, that would be great if I could, because that would solve a massive problem. But it doesn't seem, unless somebody knows here how you schedule things on YouTube. That would be great. I mean, it's just YouTube I'm bothered about. It doesn't matter so much about Twitch. But in terms of scheduling on YouTube, then I can't see a way. I thought we all had to have schedules. What, everybody in the world had to have schedules, or just we need a schedule on here because I'm changing? No. So the schedule for now is basically Monday morning is the important one because that's the coaching day. So Monday is always the coaching day. So you'll always have so for example, for music, right? Well, every day potentially when I advertise them. But you're right, we do need a schedule, Enzo. Building a habit. Oh, your habit. Right, every day. So your schedule, it's not me giving you a schedule, you're giving yourself a schedule. So we're going to talk about this on Monday. I'll be doing a follow-up on various points that were made and going a little bit more in depth on a few things on Monday. So every Monday this month, we're going to be talking about habits. So I'll be doing something about habits. It might not be for the full session, but we'll be talking about habits. We'll be discussing whatever issues we're having with our music making and general we'll be talking about, music, money, mindset. The three things that we'll be talking about on Monday. That's a special time that's blocked off. It's at the beginning of the week, so it kind of gets us more motivated. Wednesday evening is the vertical stream. And then Friday I do something. So those are the three main kind of bits. But in between that, a Tuesday or a Thursday, because I kind of need a day off from doing guaranteeing 5 every week. It's very exhausting. Especially if I've got a stream with Thomas on the Saturday. But then certainly one of those will be guitar. but it probably will be 5. You know, because I do like the guitar thing, and I do like sort of the technology thing as well. There's just so much stuff I want to do, and so little time. Like, you know, and I need more mornings, and some time to, like, you know, not to do a morning. I know you meant to be critical. Yeah. But in terms of you building a habit, well, I'm hoping you've been building a habit, Enzo, of just sitting down and doing whatever you, you know, want to be doing. Basically, is the point. So yes, you know, you're right to ask. So Monday, you know, I'll schedule habits again. Is what we'll be doing. So I hope that's clear, and I hope everybody's making their habits. Takes about 14 days for it to lock on. No, you just got to check. You just got to check the thing, haven't you? YouTube. But where do you put a schedule? I'll find out today. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, Enzo, because actually it's like it does bother me that I do need a schedule. Yeah. Right. So today we are doing paths again. We're doing paths again. Why are we doing paths? Because paths is the ultimate way that I see that we can give ourselves self feedback. Okay. So and then why do we want to give ourselves self feedback? So we're not waiting about for other people to have an opinion on our music, and we can just do basically a simple review and be able to move our music on and get it ready for release. That's what we want to do. So Paths is just an absolutely brilliant way to do this. As you know, the problem with feedback is, you know, you've got it's like getting. I mean, feedback's okay as long as you've got a trusted network of people who give you feedback. You know, but even then, it's a little bit flaky when you think about it. Hi, hippie. So, for example, you know, feedback from playlisters, they all have their own agendas, they all have their own genres, they all have their own sort of manifesto for what bands they want to have, like, on their playlist. Same with labels, right? You sort of labels all have their sort of agenda of what kind of music they like. And basically, they will give you feedback kind of based on that. So it's not necessarily the right feedback for what you're trying to do, you know. I suppose, like, some feedback from a mixing point of view, from a mix engineer point of view, where it's more sort of concrete binary, then feedback, you know, could be useful there. However, isn't it much better just to know yourself so you can do these things and you can just kind of move on and improve over time? So I think, like, the main thing that we do have to remember as well is that our path as a musician, artist, creator, is one of mastery. And this one, we have to keep reminding ourselves that with that, there is no such thing as perfection. Like, every piece of music that we do finish, every stream that we do is just a snapshot of where we are in our lives at the time. It's like a diary entry. And then we kind of move on to the next thing. And that way, we're always evolving and we're always improving. It is impossible, right, just to do a piece of music that would be considered absolutely perfect in every way, you know. All right. Good day. Hi, hippie. How you doing? Good to see you on here for another track feedback. You like the layout of Discord? I'll shut up. Right, okay. You don't have to do anything. You just have to make a habit. And so that's all I want. Right, great. So, good day, guys. Home early, so I get to see the stream for a change. Absolutely brilliant. Great having you here. We've got Inco. Picked up a new book I'm working through at the moment. The Complete Guitar Technique Speed Strategies. Okay, cool. Who's that by? Hippie. I wonder who the author is. Is it somebody we may know? Oh, that's another thing I've got to check on, you know. You may notice that the volume of the stream is a bit louder. Right, 1, 2, yeah. So I just need to take this down a bit. I thought this would be the case. So, yeah. Right. All right. Cool. Right. Yeah. So what I've got now is on Ecamm, you can have like VST, well, AU, whatever plugins. You can have plugins on your audio master on Ecamm now. So what I've got is I've got a Fab filter limiter. It's just basically doing its thing. So I can have, which is really good news actually, because what that means is I can have my usual plug-in chain on the master, and then I can just make everything like louder at the end. There's no cost to latency whatsoever. So that's really cool, isn't it? Right. Chris Brooks. All right, that's cool. That sounds wonderful. Very cool. Yeah. So it's great, yeah, just having a limiter. It's doing its work now. It's knocking things down a couple of dB on my voice. Right. I'm very loud today, mind. So I'll give that a tweak as we kind of go along. But I'm assuming everything sounds okay on the stream for everybody, yeah? Right. Just having a think. So yes, paths, feedback. So we have somebody who has kindly put themselves forward for the track feedback, and this is some guy. Now, again, what we'll do, and that's if I've got a pen, is I'll just go get a pen. One moment. Right, there's one here, right in front of my eyes. I thought I'd have to go across the room there. Right, so the way that we're going to do this, is, I just think the tension and release direct listening is a really cool way to do this. It does sound better. That's good. I'm grabbing a rating utensil too. Brilliant. So we're going to have a bit of paper. And I suggest everybody does this because, again, direct listening is something you practice. I mean, for you guys, you didn't write the music that I'm about to play, so you won't have the same connection as some guy has, who is obviously the author of this. I haven't listened to it, so I've deliberately not listened to it, so I don't know anything about this track. I don't know anything about the genre, so this is going to be a complete surprise for all of us. And we're going to have a listen to it. And what we're going to do is we'll have one listen, and we'll do our usual tension and release map. So as we're listening, if the tension goes up, the line goes up. If the tension goes down, the line goes down, right? What we have to do, right, as well, is we have to be able to separate, okay, the idea of tension away from energy. They're two different things, okay? So it's just really the tension. So to be absolutely kind of clear on how we can monitor that tension and release, another part we can do is we can just feel the tension and release in our bodies. Now, with music, and this does really fascinate me, okay? With music, we spend a lot of our time listening to the music with our heads, right? It's our heads that are doing the work. But how often do we actually pay attention to the physical feeling of what that music is doing to us, that physical feeling that's in our chest, in our heart, in our stomach, right? How often do we really kind of locate and observe the tension and release that's in our bodies? So we're going to also spend time observing that tension and release that's in our body. I think this is a great thing. As I always say, when I'm playing guitar, I'm on a good roll, and I remember one of my anchors is actually tension and release, and actually feeling tension and release in my body and moving that about through improvising. So a good sort of like game really to play is that. But direct listening is a really, really important thing that we all need to do, because the problem that we have in this day and age is we have access to all of the music we want. Now, if I take my beloved daughter for an example, this is the young person, right? Okay, we're in the car. What happens is she'll put a song on, listen to this, like literally 5 seconds ago. Do you like this, Dad? Do you like this, Dad? And like, I haven't even heard the rest of it. And then flick into something else, and then listens to like up to half a chorus, and then you're on to something else. So it's like the youth of the day just flick about, right? They go, oh God, I don't want to sound old here, but they're not listening to the foot. Like it's almost impossible for them to listen to a full track. Okay, and the culture of like streaming services isn't too hot as well in terms of supporting this, because what they do is we've got songs that are shorter now. We've got shorter songs, fine. But what that's about is so you get more rotation, so you get more money, because money is boss, unfortunately, and artistic endeavor isn't. So songs are shorter, get more rotations, more money, okay? Tension spans shorter, so everything's getting shorter and smaller, and tension spans in the human being is like that of a flea, which is sad, because I remember the days of buying an album, Kiss, Alive 1 and Alive 2 albums. I'll never forget that. The double album, opening it up and like seeing the massive pictures of that band, like with, you know, flamethrowers and like wearing like suits of armor and stuff, mincing about on stage. Ace Frehley was exploding guitar. What more could, like, you know, a young 8-year-old want, right? Amazing. So, and I was able to just sit in a room and put my record on, you know, and listen to that music. It's all gone. You know, does anybody, I mean, I can't even remember the last album I listened to, unless I'm doing something like driving the car. So it is very difficult just to sit there and focus on music. So, in other words, we're losing our ability to listen. Do disagree with me and give me some hope, please. Some post in the chat, no, we're not. But I think we are. So we have access to everything, which is great. You know, it's good. You know, we can look at whatever we want, but we don't consume music the same sort of way. You know, I mean, I used to really consume music and have an album and listen to it and put it on tape and then take that tape and then try and learn guitar parts from it. You know, it was more of a way of life. Yeah. It's something to do with that, and then also because you just got access to all of this stuff, it doesn't seem to have the value doesn't seem as good as high, does it? So yeah, so what we need to do to counteract this, right, is we need to think about, right, there we go, keeping it alive. I still buy full albums on CD. Brilliant, hippie. The mouse pressing the button for a response, right? Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? So, so something has to be done about it. And this is what we're doing. We have direct listening. I think as a population, we are, and it's very sad. I stay connected with everything. I listen, and I think a lot of true players do. Absolutely. And I think being a musician, playing an instrument, producing music, gives us some sort of a chance to ground ourselves in still exploring and consuming music to its full potential, which is brilliant. But because we're losing the ability to listen to music, we need to do something about that, right? I know I'm repeating myself, but I keep getting distracted with the chat, which is fine. So what we have is we have direct listening. Direct listening. So I suppose it comes from the idea of direct listening, direct experience, okay? So in other words, it's a psychological term. What we're trying to do is quieten down the internal narrative. Now, let's take this back to The Inner Game of Music, right? Wonderful book, okay, by Barry Green. As players and performers, we do have that narrative circuitry that comes on, and it's our brain trying to protect us, So we're on stage. Have you plugged your guitar in? Have you done this? Have you tuned? Oh, I don't know if your guitar's in tune. Right, now make sure you don't screw up the first chord when you come in. This narrative circuitry is kind of there supposedly to help us, but unfortunately, in gig music situations like that, it doesn't help us, right? What we end up doing is we end up listening to that narrative circuitry telling us what we should be doing, when actually what we should be doing is listening to our music, observing, engaging with the environment around us, not listening to this thought. And it's very, very difficult. And especially when we have a piece of music and, some guy, it's brilliant that you've done this. So, like anybody you put, I know, like, because people are going to hear your stuff, and I know it's difficult, but the good thing is you're going to really benefit from this. Because no doubt that judgmental thought may be there, and you'll be thinking about that even more as like other people are going to hear your music. But because we have that judgmental thoughts, it's not helping us actually listen to the music for what it actually is. The most important thing that we want to be focused on when listening back to our music to review it is the music. We want to be observing the music, don't we? We want to be soaking the music up into our subconscious. We don't want to be thinking about listening to this music and going, I wish I'd, instead of doing 3 chords, I wish I'd done like 4 chords here, and then it would have turned round, because if I'd done that, then the chorus would have sounded much better. No, now I've heard the chorus, right? It doesn't have enough impact. I wonder why that is. Why is that not? Maybe I need to add another guitar, right? These are the thoughts that we'll have. And that's not helpful. The music is being played along, and we're listening to our thoughts, and we're not listening to the music. So that's why we do direct listening. Direct listening is the tension release exercise that we're about to do. So I think what we'll do is we'll better do that, because I'm waffling on quite a bit. I just don't worry about overusing any word. I just repeat myself anyway, so that's fine. No Tourist by the Prodigy is the current album in the sea. Well, very cool. Atty40, how you doing? We're doing a track feedback session, and you're just in time to listen to it now, because I'm about to press play. Right, so everybody's sitting comfortably. Everybody got the bit of paper. Tension and release. If you get distracted with other thoughts, listening to the music, focus back onto the tension release map. All right? Cool. And let us start the track. Here we go. Now, if it sounds a bit weird because I've got the limiter on, just let me know. But it should be fine. It should be all good. Here we go. Any second now. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we have it. And I have my map. So, some guy. Let's talk. Okay, we're getting some kind of feedback here from 40. So this is interesting. Thank you, WC. Yeah, I really like doing these sessions. Yeah, this is some guy. Voice needs some twang or something to make it pop more. Was a bit blandish. Okay. Ending was all right. So, need twang or something. So that's like a mix thing, really, isn't it? Ending a train wreck. Mouse click. Okay. So, this is what we're going to do. Again, we're going to look at paths. So paths is the tool in which we're going to rate our music to decide on, how well it's actually functioning in terms of serving its purpose. Okay. So paths. I have actually got a whiteboard. I don't have any markers because I would use it. Purpose. So we have purpose, we have arc, thing, hook, space. Okay. So, you can see my bad, terrible writing. So this is paths, okay? So we have purpose, and round the purpose, we have these things. We have the arc, the thing, hooks, and we have space. So the purpose is the story that we're trying to tell with our music. It's like, what is the emotion? What is the overall sort of message of this song? Okay. Now, for our music to be, working efficiently, then we have to have these other factors that are serving that purpose, right? So, for example, the arc. Does the structure of this music, does it serve the purpose? The thing, does it have a thing? Is there a point in this song where there is something that releases the most tension? Okay, is there a thing in there? Or the thing could be the chorus, the drop for a bit of dance music, the punchline. What is the conclusion? Hooks is how hooky is your music. And then space is like, what is the space? How well would you rate the space? So is the space serving the purpose again? Are you putting the listener somewhere where anywhere other than in the studio in front of a computer looking at the music going past, where's their mind wandering to? Is there a particular scene? Are we out in the countryside? Are we in the desert cruising in a car? How well does the space serve the purpose? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask some guy some questions, and he's going to rate this. Right. Basically, would we email a submission to you directly? Yes, you can do. However, there are some rules, right? Okay. Firstly, number one rule is that the track is unreleased, so it mustn't be released. Okay. Firstly, I don't want to like a copyright strike or something like that on the channel, which is fine. Secondly, the track's been released, so there's nothing we can do about that. We can learn from it, which is fine. But what I would rather do is have you send a track that you want reviewing that's basically in its release stage. So you may have even started the mix, might have even finished the mix, but you're sitting on this music and you're not sure whether you should release it or not, whether it's a good fit for your style, or whether basically you don't like it, or whatever. Whatever reason you're kind of sitting on that track and you're not doing anything with it, then send it in here. We can have a listen to it. And then we can use this feedback. I can teach you how to do the self-feedback, so you can get the useful data from your music and then be able to move it forward. So that's the idea of this channel. So it's just really helping people get over the finishing line with music. You can obtain an audio input capture to avoid copyright. Can you? I don't know, it's just another thing. But for now. But anyway, I wouldn't want to really review release tracks anyway. So that's fine. Audio capture. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to be like reviewing tracks that have already been released anyway. But yeah. So we have paths, arc, thing, hooks, space, and we have the purpose. The purpose is the meaning, the emotion, what we're trying to get across, the message we're trying to get over the music. What the music, what purpose isn't is a function. So a song to dance to, a song to get signed to a label, a song for a wedding, a song for a funeral, a song for worship. Those are all functions and not purposes. Remixes don't work, no. It's got to be original. So, I'll pour a coffee. Some guy, are you there? Are you ready? Because I'm going to start asking the questions. And the first question is, out of 10, out of 1 to 10, what would you rate the arc in terms of it serving the purpose? So how well does the arc serve the purpose of this song? 1 to 10. How would you rate it? If you can put that in the chat, brilliant. Oh, it's my stomach. 1 to 10. So the arc being the structure of the song. This has an interesting structure. But how well, in your opinion? Not redefine. I just want you to redefining. Do you want me to redefine arc? Arc is just a structure. So how well does the arrangement, the structure of this song, beginning, middle, and end, serve the purpose? 3. The structure is rather weak because it doesn't go anywhere. All right, we'll come to that. Let's do the rating. Okay, the thing, right? So, does this piece of music have? I mean, you've actually done tension release map. Does this music have a conclusion? Does it have a main point? Does it have a strong chorus that releases the tension? Does it have, or it might be a hook that releases the tension? Does it have a thing? And basically, what would you rate the thing? 1 to 10. So when I talk about the thing, we're thinking like dance music, the main drop. We're thinking, Michael Jackson, Thriller. The perfect example is the bass line that comes in after the chorus. The chorus is like a point of tension. It just, the whole thing builds. And then you go into the dun 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 bass, and that bass line just kind of releases all that tension. 6. Hooks. So how hooky is this song? How would you rate how hooky it is? Is there plenty of like earworms and ear candy in there? Does it and how well do those hooks serve the purpose? Again, we're going 1 to 10. Six. And then space. So how well does the space serve the purpose? One to 10. Seven. Excellent. So we've got some numbers, which is great. So I suppose, like to do with self-feedback, what we have to do now is we have to think about why these numbers are lower. Okay, why did we not give ourselves a 10, right? So just briefly, and I know again, some guy, you're limited on the chat, so we get a gist of this. Okay, what I will say is, this reminds me, I keep forgetting, right? Because I'm a terrible business person. That join a coaching group. Anybody who's interested in doing this every week, right? And but actually sitting there in front of your computer, applying this there and then with me in the room with you. There are availabilities on the coaching groups, so I do have some slots. So anybody who's interested and you've got 2 hours to spare during the week to turn up for a group, you'll have the pleasure of being on a Zoom call with me for 2 hours, taking you through stuff like this, but you'll be able to kind of sit and work on your track. Okay, and I'll set sort of guided tasks for you to do to make your music better. So, for example, we do release sessions where you rate stuff, and then what I'll do is I'll get you to come up with an action plan, set the timer, everybody sits and works furiously on the music, and then we review what you've done. So it's a wonderful thing, and that's like 2 hours every week, and it only costs, right, $200 per month. So that's 8 hours, and it doesn't matter if it was a 5 week, then you'd get 10 hours in a room with me. I've never ever had to refund one person for my coaching groups. It's always been, I've coached tons and tons of people. Everybody's been satisfied, customers releasing music, and I've had a wonderful time. And the retention has been pretty good on there. I've had people there for like 3 years before. So pretty cool. The only other thing is, so it's 2 hours a week. You would need round about 30 to 40 minutes a day to actually work on your music. That's the only other thing. However, we're working on habits, aren't we? So in a couple of weeks' time, everybody's going to have really good habits. In a month's time, everybody's going to have pretty good environments, But what I would say, if it's something you're thinking about and you're getting frustrated and you want to be in that zone of just continuously making music and not falling off, or at least falling off and having the support to get back on and learning those skills where you don't have to have a coach and you can just be on your own, just motivated and doing things, then like coaching is the way that you're going to do that. This isn't the powerful thing about this, right, is it's not necessarily giving you skills. I'm not teaching skills. I'm not opening your head up and putting more information in. I'm simply helping you develop the skills you've already got. Anyway, so we do have an arc which is rated at a 3. So what I want to know, some guy, is why was that number low? Why a 3 and not a 10? In fact, some guy, you know what I might do for 5 minutes? Let's see if this works. Because I know it's on the chat, just so like this will kind of move things along a bit quicker. I'm going to time you 5 minutes, right? And I want you to just... All right, okay. So the structure is a simple blues song. I didn't use a bunch of chords or instrumentation as I do in other compositions. Right. So again, I don't see that as a problem. That's like a description. So what we're trying to do is like, get to the bottom of why you ended up with a 3. I mean, simple's good, right? Isn't it? So this is another thing that's very sort of interesting, is that we have. So there's a model I use for solving problems, and I couldn't remember what it was the other day, but it's Codex, right? It's called Codex. It could be better, right? Right. These are good things that you're coming up with. These things. It could be better, right? So again, like if you were on a call with me, we could get to the bottom of this. But this is really like useful stuff. These kind of comments, some guy, and I'll tell you why, is because we all think it could be better. Now, when we have it could be better when we're coming to finishing a, in fact, it could be better at any point is absolutely like not a good thing, because that is the exact kind of thinking where people they'll come into a session and they'll go, my track could be better, and then they start working on it, and because there's no direction, no plan, okay, nothing concrete, no action plan of have I done this, have I not done this, yes or no, okay, what happens is people just start working on the track and actually making it worse for a number of reasons. So, and not tackling what the main problems are. I mean, another thing that people will do is it could be better, and then they'll do things like they'll go for really small, like detail problems that are totally insignificant, and part of that's like a fear thing because your track's nearly finished, right? And people go, it's nearly finished and I don't want to ruin it, so I'm just going to do the small parts. And like one of these is filtering low end off sounds or high end. People will go through with a filter and start like really bad in electronic music, like winding off all the low end off every instrument, right, that the thing's going to cause mud, right? Very small. And then what happens is you lose energy in the mix and it just starts sounding flat and lifeless, and you haven't got that buzz that you had before. There's many a times where I've experienced this on coaching calls and experienced this like tons myself, especially like, in the days of producing dance music, where I would just go for the details of the mix, and I would either be fearful or not acknowledge the bigger picture, okay? And because I wasn't listening like a listener, I would do these small problems first because it was a nice way to ease you in. And I would listen to my music and go, it's completely, whatever character it had, it's completely lost. I've removed that, I mean, when you think about it, great music was recorded back in the day, even with things like AC/DC stuff, early AC/DC, it sounds amazing, doesn't it? And what engineers actually had was very limited. In mixing those records, they didn't have all the kind of tools and things that we have now where you can zoom into the nth detail. But that doesn't necessarily kind of make music better. So could be better. That's risky because you come in and you start working on stuff. There's no direction and you ruin it potentially. So we do need something more concrete than could be better. You couldn't give me, like if you sent me this track, some guy to finish for you, and you just put on your list, it could be better. Like, what would I do? So we need something that's absolutely like concrete, that's a yes/no answer. Does it need another chorus? Does it need another hook? Is it something actually the tension release isn't quite right between the sections and the sections need moving about? What is it you could do to get that arc supporting the story? So looking at what the purpose is, looking at what is happening, this guy's singing, what is he singing about? What is he talking about? What is the story? And emotionally, if that's a character in the film, what's he feeling? And then what parts match to that feeling at the time that's been sung? This is what we're talking about. Right, there are timing issues. So that's good. So now what we can do is when we're talking, but that's timing issues. Timing issues with sections of songs, timing issues on actual played parts. So yeah, timing issues is a definite concrete thing that you can fix. Now, let's say we're going for timing issues for now. What you would do is, to fix this, play your track, and when it gets to the point where the timing issues are, stop the track. Right. The theme is mortality. Like it. So there we go. So all we need to know really is the arc supporting mortality? And if not. So the way to kind of solve these issues, which we'll come to in a bit, let's move on to the thing, right? And then I'll give you a way you can sort of work through these things. Thing, and it does take a bit of practice. So do you have, is there a section in that song that releases the tension as the song builds? How, you put like 6, and what we need to know is like, why did you rate the thing as a 6? So do we have, what is that section, and why is it only a 6 when you rated it, not a 10? The thing's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's no real sort of, I don't think there's anything out there on the thing. But all music is tension and release, isn't it? So we need something that releases it. I wouldn't. I didn't want to seem like a nos. I wouldn't worry about that. But what I do need to know is, why is the thing a 6 and not a 10? What do you think it's a 10? Oh, so it is a 10. I'll put it another way. When you heard it, was there a problem with the thing? It's a groovy tune. But still, I need to know, are you saying the thing is a 10, or are you saying it's still a 6? And if it's still a 6, why not a 10? I mean, if there was a problem with it, and you put it as a 10, it just means that you're not aware of that problem. And that just means, those numbers will change. Right, cool. Excellent. Right. So, yeah, no, I really enjoyed all the slide parts, and I thought it was hooky. But I think it's just, you put a 6 down and you didn't put a 10. If you put a 10 down, then I'll move on. Because it just either means that, like, it's sorted. Interesting. It's still a 6 because I don't want to think it's correct. And why do you not want to think it's correct? This is very interesting, some guy. Like now, if we just stay and we'll run out of time on this call, I'm now zoomed in onto, I don't want to think it's correct. Because immediately my head thinks, right, okay, what's underneath that? Why would you not want to think it's correct? Is it an attachment issue with your music that you don't want to release it and you want to keep a hold of it? You don't want to share it to the world? Is it because you're unsure whether that piece of music is good enough? for the purpose of self-chastising and improving. That's very interesting. So when we think about, right, so let's just have a look, because I feel, so this is a thing, right? Let me just show you this, right? And see if this resonates. All right, where is it? Go on. All right. So we've seen this the screen's gone really bright. We've seen this diagram many times, okay, before, but let's just get it out because I think it is like important. I think we'll go for this view. Oh, my camera's not on. Typical. I'll switch it off and switch it back on. See if it kicks in. Sometimes the cameras heat up and then don't work. Right, it doesn't matter. All right, we'll just go with this side. Just very bright, isn't it? Okay. So what we have is this is like the zones of experience diagram. So when you're saying basically that for the purpose of self-chastising / improvement, I feel that we're down here, capabilities. How do I do this? Skills, knowledge, and abilities. That you feel that by not releasing the music, as that somehow that will stop like progress, which just isn't true. For us to be effective and be doing what we're supposed to be doing in terms of like just getting our music out there and allowing other people to enjoy it, we want to be creating our connection. We need to be at the top of this chart. And as a coach, right, it's my job to get people from these areas to the top. Okay, that's all I'm concerned about. So I feel, there's like a skills thing, a fear of like not progressing as much, behavior. What am I doing? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. But fundamentally, as far as this music's concerned, we want to get it up here, and we want to, make the connection. What is the real question is, why are you doing what you're doing? What is the purpose of what you're doing? And then how do we get that music kind of to that point where you see the music as just another diary entry, another stepping stone in your onward journey to mastery? So that's the angle I'm coming from. So that's what I've picked up on there for now. And I'll just shut this down. But this is very interesting because it's something I totally relate to. And I'm sure other people will relate to. Because releasing your music isn't going to stop you from improving. The way that we improve is to create new knowledge for ourselves. And writing more music is different scenarios, different problems that are happening, different things that you have to fix and work out. And therefore, you're a practicing musician and improving. So that's very, very interesting that you say that to some guy. So I don't know if that was kind of helpful with that. But we'll move on. Hooks. So how hooky was your piece of music? So you said it was a 6. Now, why was it a 6 and not a 10? Why was it a 6 and not a 10? It was, thank you. Cool. Now, some guy, because... right, so I'm very interested in what you've said there, and because again you've put yourself forward, but having your music up here, and I know it's difficult on the chat to say what you want to say when we're having conversations like this, and it's probably like, oh, I just wish I was in the room. I wish I was on a call with Tim. You can have, right, providing you can make it, you can have a free coaching session with me on Sunday. Okay, so Sunday I've got like a half an hour slot, and we can discuss this further, and that's totally free of charge. So if you want that, I can book you in for that slot, and it will be 5 o'clock. And you're more than welcome to have a free coaching session with me for being a great guy and allowing us to listen to your music and then talk about it. Because it's not easy doing this thing, so I do appreciate it. So you got your free coaching session. If you want it. Right, okay. So that's just a re-record on the chorus. But outside of the problem, the general idea, I mean, I can hear through. So this track is in release, isn't it? So yeah, you can tidy up that voice. You can put it in tune. You know, that's great. I mean, the tuning doesn't bother me so much. And I think sometimes, you know, again, it's like we're zooming in into detail. Like, I don't see how, like, unless it was a completely off note. I mean, I noticed tuning, right? So I noticed issues with tuning, right? Some guy with the track. But then I had to, I noticed it was out of tune, but I didn't notice that things were out of tune in a bad way. I thought the out of tuneness kind of just gave it that extra kind of rough edge. I thought it kind of, the tuning almost gave it a kind of like it was done on purpose. That added to the atmosphere. Because it's bluesy and rough and, you know, like I was way back in the day, I wasn't thinking about perfectly tuned Kiesel guitars, right? And you know, this beautiful mix that's like completely scientifically measured for perfection. I was just there. I was just imagining like this band, and they haven't got great like instruments, and it's all like everything's covered in a layer of dust because they're in the desert. You know, that it's like the out of tuneness kind of helped me with the narrative of the song, that vibe. And I've been through this before with my house music. Everything had to be perfect, you know. And then I got into like getting out of that perfection, and I kind of like that vibe of. It's like Eddie Van Halen was great at doing this in his solos. It's like wonky. It's like, is it right or is it wrong? No, it's right. Oh, how do you do that? That's amazing. So to me, I think the out of tuneness felt more intentional than it did a mistake. Something to think about. You see, this is, yeah. It sounds like I'm naturally pleading with heaven to be let in. Okay, that's great. And you know, you're not going to be totally like bothered about in that situation, like whether everything's perfectly in tune before you plead. You're just going to grab whatever you've got and do your audition in front of God, right? And I just feel that because even that, like now you're saying that, I'm thinking like that out of tuneness is great, isn't it? Because it kind of adds to the anxiety of it, isn't it? The struggling almost because you know your time's coming. You're going to find it hard to sing perfectly in tune. So that kind of wobbliness of the tuning of the instruments and the voice, I think, kind of adds to it. And again, you know, comments like could be better, the thing about the improvement. These are all like kind of internal thoughts that we have as an artist, and what we lose track of is what does the listener think? You know, so Paths in a way is designed to help you listen like a listener, if that makes sense. So the tuning, yeah, if you wanted to fix the tuning, great. Is it a big issue? Not really. But hooks, you've got a 6 down there for hooks. Why wasn't that a 10? Anyway, we'll move on. So we've got space next. Now space. You rated it as a 7, some guy. So what? Why was it a 7 and not a 10? Well, no, there's no set governmental rules on how long a hook has to be. A hook can be as short or as long as you want. I mean, hey, people do micro compositions that last for about 2 seconds. I know an academic who specialised in it. It's micro compositions. And you would get them on TV. They would use them as little signature kind of sort of whatever micro compositions. Oh, right, I'm not sure what you mean. There might be giants, but anyway, space. We got a 7. Why was it not a 10? Any thoughts? Right, anybody who's new to this channel as well, anybody who's new to this channel, do subscribe and do hit the thumbs up button and like. Right, okay. I mean, 2.5 minute song doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long the song is as long as it's serving the purpose. Right. Right, the space is jacked up. Fair enough. Well, there's plenty of space at the end of the track. I did notice that. All right, Enzo. Take care. Try and join that Discord. And I might be live on Saturday night if I've got time. It'll be just a pop-up thing. But other than that, the definite session that you need to turn up to is Monday. That's really important. So everybody's got to turn up for Monday because that's the coaching on habits. Because everybody who tunes into this channel now, right, we're all going to be focused habit ninjas by the end of the month. So take care, Enzo, and I'll see you and work on those habits. Oh, there's also the Patreon channel. So anybody who wants to support this channel, do join Patreon. I do notice a lot of views goes into it. People look at it. But that Patreon for now, it's just helping me support this channel. So if you want to join it free, that's great. If you feel that actually you'd like to support it in terms of, financial, then there's a $4 subscription you can pay, which is great if you support the channel. But for now, everything's happening. I don't want to put all of this behind a YouTube paywall thing. I'm not really into that idea. I want everybody to have really the option of, access to the material free. And then if you want to support the channel, then it's $4, and that's brilliant. Because it ensures that we can keep going with this. Right, okay. So the time is, Enzo, it will be 6 UK time. 6 o'clock in the morning UK time. You have Discord and a Patreon. Thank you. Wonderful, Enzo. Right. Okay, let's go back to what we're doing. So space, right. So why was space a 7? That's what we want to know. So I don't think I got an answer that's satisfying me enough. I do want to know why the space was a 7 and not a 10. Anyway, so just while you're having to think about that, I could have done more. Right, okay. So I could have done more. Again, there has to be like a concrete reason of why space is a 7 and it's not serving the purpose. So why are we not like got that? You know, why wasn't not fully a 10 that we're actually, you know, in front of God, pleading to be in heaven? Harmonies would be cool, or an organ if I forgot that. So yeah, I mean, harmonies would be great. Honestly, the simplicity and the roughness of the track just made it a very much more intimate experience to me. I did not pick. I mean, that's just more icing on the cake. I mean, I suppose harmonies, angels, that kind of thing, you would kind of get that. That would, like, so if you had harmonies that was like an angelic thing, a gospel choir, that would definitely give it that kind of religious space, wouldn't it? But actually, what I call sonic signposts when we're talking about heaven and religion, secular sound sources, what other things could you add? And I suppose that kind of church, old wonky church, you see, like an old wonky church organ in one of those like little churches, you know, in some kind of remote village place in America, in Texas or something, with like the bellows being pumped by a young boy. So the tuning's kind of wavering. And then the acoustics of that kind of wooden church, like those kind of things would really bring, like, to me, like that's like atmosphere, isn't it? Those are the, you know, when we're talking about space, those are the sort of things that would really interest me. Yeah, so like, you know, that those little things. So really putting in little like religious, heavenly sonic signposts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to briefly go through the hack codex version. Okay, so this is the model I was trained on, and it works a treat. And the cool thing about this is plug in the coaching groups. In the coaching groups, there's a much more in-depth version of this. Okay, that basically you can solve any music problem that you've got by doing this process. You can solve it, but it requires practice, and the more you practice it, because we're doing habits and things like that, and the more that you implement this idea, the more it becomes how you think. So the codex model is like, you know, when you come across those smart ass producers who just instantly know what to do. Oh, you want to do this, and then it all like works out in the studio, and it's just brilliant. This is that, you know. This is like, this gets you to be that smart, clever. Not saying I'm clever, but guy who's in the studio just like dead cash and just do this, and we'll book Mary from the church to come down and play the old organ. Except But no need for an old organ, because we'll just use a plugin that makes everything sound like wonky and like old, like it's in a church, and I'll use an IR reverb. We don't need to bring the church to the studio or go to record the church, but we do need Mary to come down to play it. Like a smart producer, okay, or Gregorian chants, yeah. But again, I like the tuning. It doesn't need to be a perfect choir, does it? Or does it? These are the questions. So, this is the way that you kind of do it. This is one way to solve the problems. Firstly, okay, that you will sit down. Okay, you've got your tension and release map. You've got your arc thing, hooks, space, ratings, and then you sit down, right? And you can time yourself 10 minutes, and I want you to write, okay, about why these things are not the numbers that they should be, okay? Then what we're going to do is we'll start the process. So, in terms of like the arc, you have to locate, or any of these, right? You locate the problem area in the track. So you'll press play, stop at the point where you think there's a problem, all right? Where you think there's a problem, you must describe what's actually happening. So this is really important. Do not explain and do not come up with a solution. People do this. They'll do a description because such and such is, that's not what we want to do. So you stop at that point and you describe what is happening. So you want to know, like, what instruments are there? What are the instruments playing? What are the rhythms that are playing? Vaguely what the harmony is. In your own words, it doesn't have to be complicated music theory, okay? Because like Paths is designed for people who don't have really like amazing music theory. It's just so you can use it and move yourself on, okay? So that's not necessary. So you describe, and then you explain why it's bothering you. So once you've built this 3D model of that area, then you kind of make an explanation of why that is bothering you. So if its vocal sounds particularly too out of tune with the acoustic guitar, then that's the explanation, and you'll kind of even bring that down to notes. So it might be that the guitar harmony is too close to the vocal, and that's creating too much tension. So a note needs to be moved out of the way of the vocal, for example. It doesn't mean necessarily you're going to re-record it, but okay, because the performance might be good in that vocal. But what if you then re-recorded the vocal and that wasn't the problem? This is the thing. So this is why we do a description and an explanation, because there's too many times that I've done this and seen people just going headfirst into the track to make it better and then absolutely fuck the whole thing up, right? Like so many times, and it's trashed, and then it's like even more disheartened and like can't cope with it, and then have to like just move away from it, and that's always sad to see and experience. So this is like kind of avoiding that. So we make an explanation, and once you have your explanation, okay, you then brainstorm solutions. So you know what's going on in the music, you know why it's bothering you, and now you come up with all of the options that you could do and try out to actually fix that problem. If that makes sense. Play your track after you've solved it, you stop at the next point, and then you can just basically play the track, move to the next problem area and do the same thing and the next thing. And you'll have like a list, right, of actions to do on this track to get it finished. And by the time you get finished, like, describing, explaining, and brainstorming every single problem that you're aware of in this track, you will have a very comprehensive list of actions that you need to do, right, to finish it. When you have that list, what is really important, right, is that you look at the list and then you decide which are the biggest problems. Now, this is another thing you practice. So it's like the codex thing. We practice that. So at first, you'd be writing things down a lot till it actually just becomes the way that you think. So, but the next part of this is we need to work out, and part of this is experience, which are the biggest problems. So the way you would think about this is anything on that list, right? That's, if we think about an Eisenhower matrix, so anything on the list that is high effort for you, okay, so loads of effort with you, and low impact on the listener, don't even bother with them. Just cross them out, okay? What we're looking for is problems that you've solved, like those tasks on that list. We're looking for things that basically that you can cross off and do, that's basically least effort for you and maximum impact for the listener. And I'll say that again. So the things that you want to do when finishing your track is you just need to focus in on things that are least effort for you. It's not being lazy, okay? It's being strategic. Least effort for you, maximum impact for the listener. Okay, now that way, when you do that, what you'll find is the smaller problems that were just crossed out anyway aren't a problem anymore. And it's usually those smaller problems that we do, because they're insignificant, we feel like we're not going to wreck our track, but we do end up wrecking our track through doing those a lot of times. Strategic. Planning. Thinking ahead. Battle planning. We're being strategic. Okay, so actions that are least effort for you, biggest impact on the listener. That's what we want to be doing. Right, I'm not sure. Right, we're talking about, right. I'm trying to understand the idea of someone needs, if someone needs to emote something, how can you be strategic about it? We're talking about mixing a track or finishing a piece of music. We're talking about the release stage and what's involved in that. So it'd be mixing, re-recording parts, adding final instrumentation, stage prop giant crucifix. Yeah, with like at night time with like flames and stuff. We've got to have some fire in there, haven't we? So anyway, some guy, I've been talking a little bit there. I've probably been rambling about codecs and a system that you can, a strategic system in which you can get all the problems in release sorted. And just to be kind of, because I know I keep mentioning mixing in release, right? When we've got like, it can mean a few things. So yes, in release we're going to be doing the mixing, but actually re-recording parts is part of that, you know. So up to this point with your music, you know, you may think, right, well, there are sort of obvious mistakes that the listener will pick up on, so I do need to re-record those parts, so that's fine. Release the bats, yeah. Okay, Lucifer. Right, a few minutes left. So, some guy, if you want, just email me. If you're wanting the half-hour session on Zoom on Sunday, 5 o'clock, for being a good sport, and if you want to kind of talk through, well, you can use the coaching session for however you want, really. If you want to talk about this track, we can do that. If you want me to do just an overall coaching session on just thinking about your situation now, then there's a whole framework for that. We can do what's called the thinking environment. What I'm saying is this: if someone has written something to say something, played it, and it's down, how do you produce something with mechanical intentions? Well, we don't. We just guess. Lucifer. At the end of the day, music comes down to guessing, doesn't it? Like if Trent Reznor wants to scream about something on a track, how do you produce that to be marketable? You don't worry about it. Because that screaming is for an audience who will find it and who are into that particular type of music. You know, I could flatulate and make music out of that, and there would be definitely, providing I can find that audience, right, there'll be definitely be people who would love that, and I would be the only provider of that flatulating music, and they would all be into it, you know, and I'd have like probably super fans for that. So I wouldn't worry about the masses like that, because at the end of the day, very interesting, Lucifer, we are making music for ourselves, and then if the world wants it, then it's great. Hi, Stelly. No, that's perfectly fine. I need to send you the drum rack. So you being here, I will do it today. I'm going to write it down. Now, Stelly EXO rack. There we go. I've got it there. So, some guy, have you found the track feedback today? Oh, rushing the wrong thing. It's been a pleasure. And have you... so, hopefully, I'm hoping I see you on Sunday for the coaching call, because I think there's something very, very interesting going on with the previous thing that you said about not releasing something, but then wanting to kind of keep a hold of it for continuous self-development, I suppose. I would be very interested in exploring that, because I think that the reason I'm interested in that, because I know if we make sense of that, okay, it's going to unlock lots of cool stuff for you, you know, and you'll just, life could change dramatically if we can explore that, if you know what I mean. So the offer is there. You've got a session with me, 5 o'clock, that's UK time, on Sunday, thereabouts, if you can make it. That'd be brilliant. And that's 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So I do, like, you booked in straight after another session, I do. Right. Anybody want to say anything? Cool. So I would just like to thank again some guy for putting his music in. That was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed listening to it, you know, and thanks for being, you know, as open and honest as you can, sort of on the chat. I know it's not easy, and we'll have a group and all this kind of thing. I'd also like to thank everybody for tuning in today and supporting. And I hope you all kind of got, thank you, Hippie. And I hope you all got something out of this, and you know, it's getting you to think about being an artist and a musician in this very strange world that we live in, and that's helping. So other than that, there might be a pop-up stream on Saturday, so it could be doing that, because kind of, it's weird, because like my guitar playing, I'm at the bottom of a dip now, so I'll be coming up at some point. Playing and stuff. So that's interesting. So I'm getting myself out of the old rut again. So I'm hoping I'll be out of the rut by Saturday. Other than that, Monday is the important date where I'll be here doing more coaching, and I'll be reinforcing habits. So expect habits to be on to the end of the month. When we get to the end of the month and we've done our habits and everybody reports in with great habits and are regularly turning up to do whatever they're doing, I'll be very, very happy. And then after that, the following month, we're going to do environment, which is going to be interesting, because I'm wanting everybody, so no cheating. If you can, I think it'd be great if everybody can just send me pictures of their studio environment. You don't have to share it publicly. My email is in the description, but I'd be interested to see, what your studio environments are like, because we'll be going into environment and we'll be optimizing things and removing friction. So that's to look forward to in May. And we'll be doing a month of environment. So that'll be the month if you're going to like rewire your studio, take things apart, sell things, buy something that you'll actually use instead of collecting stuff, removing things, putting them in like timeout cupboards, all of that kind of stuff. That activity, that's going to happen next month after we've done our hard work on our habits. At least it won't be hard work, because habits are meant to be like, so you don't feel like you're working very hard. Anyway, that's enough rambling from me. I'll see you all definitely on Monday, possibly Saturday. All right. Take care. Enjoy. Bye.